Have you ever heard the expression that we heal our emotional wounds in our marriages or romantic relationships? If you haven't, it's okay. A lot of people have not. When I worked with couples in the past in my private practice, I would usually ask couples if they'd ever heard about that. Most times they would say no. So I thought today would be just a nice time to review the very basics of couples therapy and ways to improve your relationship. This is in no way a couples therapy session right now. I just want to give a very nice framework of how any couple could improve their communication and their relationship with a few simple steps. First one is take a look at attachment theory, which is just what I said, how we heal our childhood wounds in our relationships. We all are impacted by the way we were raised, of course. So attachment theory is just how we attach to our primary caregivers. Everyone has that experience, and whatever that looked like will really, of course, stay with you for your life. And you will be a person who can have secure attachment styles in your relationships, which is the healthy type of attachment that we're hopefully looking for. Then there's anxious attachment and avoidant attachment. So there's other variations of this. Those are the three basics. So of course, secure, what we're looking for. Anxious is somebody who's always, are you there for me? Are you there for me? Can drive their partner crazy because they can't trust. Avoidant is the person who backs away, is not always present. Usually the anxious and the avoidant tend to attract each other for some reason. So call that a distancer-pursuer dynamic in a relationship. You have one person who is, I'm always pursuing you, I need you, are you there for me? The other person is overwhelmed with that, and then they're always backing away. Wait, I need my space, you're always around me, I need a break. That's a very common dynamic. And I want all couples to know that it's common and you can work with it. If you can start to understand why you're like that. I grew up in a family where people weren't there for me sometimes. People didn't meet my needs. I need to know you're there. When that distancer can hear the pursuer's fear, they usually have more compassion for that situation, and that knowledge and awareness can start to help couples figure out ways to manage that distancer-pursuer dynamic. So just having that understanding is important. I try to give this information in maybe the first 3 sessions when you have couples, because of course when a couple comes in, they're coming in with a lot of their information and their problems. So we don't cover all of these things. Usually it takes 4 sessions maybe to get to this stuff. But today I just want to go over the basics that I love people to know about their relationships so they can feel more confident in managing the relationships. So there's that. So you have that attachment style that needs to be understood. And then, of course, communication. Every therapist is always talking about how are you communicating? What is it looking like? How do we correct your communication? And I was always a person that followed the Gottman theory with communication, which it has a few different types of exercises that can really help with communication. So if we look at the way that Gottman looks at relationships, this is John Gottman. He is one of the leading theorists in couples therapy. He's also known for the fact that he can sit with a couple for 10 minutes and predict if they will stay together or break up with a 94% rate. So he knows what he's doing. He's older now, but if you have a chance to look up any of his talks on YouTube, he's just very interesting, amazing, funny, charismatic, really breaks it down in a way that's very relatable. So he's always says that every couple has a handful of perpetual problems that just don't go away. And I think that as couples, we tend to think we have to fix these things, we have to get through these things, we have to come to some resolution. And you have to agree that these are those handful of things we will probably never resolve. So we make an agreement to manage them. We learn to manage these differences. We are 2 different people in a relationship. We're going to commit to managing our differences. And when you can get to that place of just how my partner is different, I have to accept that and I have to work with it, and we're going to work together, and that's management seems more attainable than resolving in some of these situations. So that's one of his key points that he always talks about. He also has a very important theory about what he calls the apocalypse of the 4 horsemen, which are, if these 4 things are showing up in your relationship, they have to be addressed. So the first one would be defensiveness. And it's so easy to get defensive when you're in a relationship, you're having an argument. What's the first thing you do? You start to get defensive. You're defending yourself. You're standing up for yourself. But there's this now new dynamic of now we are adversaries. We're not on the same team. If I'm defensive with you, we're not on the same team anymore. So we have to be able to check that. We're starting to have a conversation as a couple where maybe things are getting heated and we start to get defensive. You have to make this agreement. We will call it. I will say, I'm feeling defensive, or I'm noticing that you're defensive. If you can't interrupt that defensiveness, your arguments will not be productive, and it's just a perpetual problem that will show up. So you have to be willing to work on defensiveness. The second apocalypse of the Horsemen is criticism. If there's any type of criticism or judgment going on in a relationship, never feels good. Who likes to feel criticized, especially by your partner? It's horrible. Or if you feel judged by your partner, always going to be bad. So we have to be willing to communicate that. I'm noticing that I'm feeling judged and it feels really hard for me right now. Or I'm noticing that criticism that you gave me really hurt my feelings. And we have to be able to work with that. So that's another thing to make sure we're looking at. The other one is stonewalling, where one person won't communicate or one person just shuts the other person down. No, I won't have it. I don't want to talk about it. We have to make agreements that we get to take breaks. So you can say, I need a 10-minute break to calm down. We do know that once we get escalated or start to get angry or start to get emotional, our logic gets cut in half. So now I can't be rational and I can't be logical, and then we're going to have a pretty hard time sorting out a problem. So be willing to take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break and come back to this conversation, but not say, nope, I'm not having this, I'm walking away from you. That's where someone might feel abandoned. So be mindful of how we manage stonewalling. And then the last, and probably the worst thing that can be showing up in any relationship, is contempt. Contempt would be really nasty fighting, calling each other names, anything that's really aggressive. You can't expect to have any kind of a healthy relationship if those things are consistently happening. I mean, we all lose it once in a while, but you can't be consistently in that place of contempt and feel like you can have a healthy relationship. So those 4 things you always want to be mindful of. And there's so much information out there. You could find anything in depth about this. And I would also recommend to any couples interested in getting more in-depth information to sign up for the Gottman Institute emails. They will send a weekly email out that has so much good information about relationships, articles, quick videos, courses you could sign up for, everything. So the Gottman Institute is a great resource for couples looking to improve their relationship, fix their relationship, or learn more about how to have a healthy relationship. So after that, I'd like to cover some things that tend to get in the way of progress. When we start learning these things, we need to know that if we are coming into couples therapy or working on a relationship with so much negativity from the past, Gottman gave that a term. It's called negative sentiment override. And what it means is I have so much resentment for my partner, for things that happened, for events that we did not resolve from the past. There's so much resentment that I'm having a really hard time moving forward. And it's so common. How can you be in a long-term marriage or relationship where we don't have resentments about things that didn't get resolved? We carry grudges. We hold on to negativity. It's human. We all do it. But I can tell you, it will not help you move forward as a couple if you cannot process some of that in a way you need to with your partner or alone and decide, all right, I'm drawing a line. I've done whatever I need to do. I've spent enough time dwelling on that. And now I have to clear a path to move forward. But so that means like I'm putting that to bed. I'm letting that go. And now as a couple, we can start to build on a new foundation. And sometimes that can look like we need to build trust. And that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Trust is only built by consistency over time. You show up for me in the right ways, you give me your word the right way, and that will build our trust. So we do have to decide. If we want to be stuck in that gridlock of the negative sentiment override situation, we can stay there as long as we need to, but it's not going to help us move forward and have a healthy, comfortable relationship. So it does require really making that decision to put it behind us so that we can move forward. I think that we all know that as communication is the most important thing. When you are trying to establish better communication as a couple, it does feel hard, but anything worth doing takes effort and feels hard in the beginning. The only homework I would really ask my couples to do, besides maybe some reading or learning about these things, would be please commit to at least once a week, more would be even better, but once a week, doing the State of the Union. That's what Gottman calls sitting down and having a check-in with each other to practice communication. And he actually has an outline that has people follow, where we just sit down and the speaker should be saying this, this, and this. The listener should be doing this, this, and this. And he guides you through a 30-minute conversation. And the goal is to feel heard. So the speaker needs to share what they want to share. This could be a challenge of the week, something that we struggled with over the week. Or it could be something that we did well over the week. It doesn't have to be bad. It can be something good. But we have to feel heard, understood, and accepted. So you want to walk away from this conversation feeling like my partner really heard me. They really understood what I had to say. That will require asking some questions, and I feel very accepted. And that is what you're looking for. So the goal is to make sure that we are having that check-in once a week. And, you could take turns picking a topic. Let's talk about what this challenge was this week, or what did we get right this week? How, we could focus on that. And so it's so important to do that, because Gottman also says that we're always, as humans, we are always exaggerating the negative. He calls it the 5-to-1 ratio. So it means that it takes 5 positive interactions to negate that one negative thing that happened. Think about you're in your life. Your partner says this one comment or did this one thing, and he may have done 10 other great things during the week. But what does our mind go to? It keeps going back to that one thing they said that made us mad or drove us crazy, or and we fixate on that. That is part of, as humans, our survival mechanism. For humans to survive, we had to be problem solvers. We had to be able to see the problems everywhere, right? So our minds still go to that. They go to that problem and they kind of fixate on it. So we want to be able to bring more positivity in, and sometimes at that check-in conversation, we really can go back to what were the positive things that happened this week. It wasn't all bad, and really focus on that. And so that is a really good commitment that couples should agree to. Let's commit to the weekly check-in conversation where we will review anything. Also, it's a nice time to try to fix something when we have the time and the patience to sit down and focus on it. Our lives are busy. If we're just kind of yelling things out during the week, we don't feel like we really resolve something. So that weekly check-in is a time to resolve, repair, reset, also compliment and give positive feedback to each other. So that is a very important tip. If I could share one really important tip, it is make new agreements with each other. And those new agreements could include better communication, committing to the weekly check-in, being more positive. I also like couples to make a commitment to be more emotionally generous with each other, be more patient, give more emotional support. Make that a goal. Like, I'm going to try to be more emotionally, I call it nicer, because it's very hard to get a little bit stuck in that, negative place. So try to give emotional generosity. Give your partner the benefit of the doubt more often. You will feel better. They will feel better. So that's a good goal. And like anything else, people come to couples therapy and they want things fixed. I want this to be fixed. I want things to be different. Well, the only way to make change is consistent effort over time. There is no magic formula to have the perfect relationship. It's the day in, day out, consistent effort you put into your communication style, your patience, your just thoughtful things you do, all those the small things that happen day to day. That's the magic. That's it. There's no other magic formula. It's making a commitment to each other, making new agreements. We're going to do these things differently. We're going to start now. We're going to make these new agreements. We're going to follow through, and we're going to be consistent. Are we going to make mistakes? 100%. We all will make mistakes. We all will revert back to what our old habits were. just be willing to catch it. Just be willing to say to each other, hey, you see what we're doing? Going back to our old habits. So let's correct, reset, move forward. That's the magic right there. That's it. Nothing else is really going to change anything unless you make the commitment to improve your relationship, know it's worth it, and the grass is not always greener somewhere else. Humans, we think that, but we have to know that sometimes just putting some effort in to the relationship you're in can really make a huge difference. So happy to share this information, and I look forward to checking in with Mark and our future videos coming up. This was a solo video today, and we will be coming back with some new sights from Nice, France in the coming weeks. So thank you for your time.